Every day, the future gets smarter, and 3 days ago, it got banned. The United States government just killed the most powerful AI on Earth, and the company that pulled the trigger, its own biggest backer. The reason they gave a jailbreak that's basically just asking it to fix some code. This is June 15th, 2026, and you're watching The Truth. Let's jump right in. Okay, here's what actually happened. On June 9th, Anthropic shipped Fable 5 and Mythos 5 and called Fable the most capable AI system it had ever put in public hands. State-of-the-art at coding, at science, at cybersecurity. The kind of launch that owns the headlines for a month, 3 days later. Both models were just gone. Quick context on what these two actually are. Fable 5 was the public flagship. Mythos 5 was a less restricted version, built only for trusted cybersecurity and research labs. Both launched on the very same day, and both were dead within 72 hours. And I mean, gone, not throttled, not rate limited, switched fully off for every single customer on the planet, all at once. Picture the single best tool in your workflow just vanishing overnight with no warning. And this was not Anthropic's choice. In their own words, the government issued an export control directive ordering them to suspend all access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for any foreign national anywhere in the world. A government reaching into a private company and flipping the off switch on its product. Stop and sit with that for a second. This is the first time in history that a government has reached in and pulled a commercial AI model off the market on national security grounds. But the part nobody saw coming isn't the government. It's WHO walked into the government's office to make this happen because this knife came from inside the house. How does a company get its own AI banned? Stay with me. It gets worse. To understand why this is so wild, you need one number. Amazon has poured around $8 billion into Anthropic. $8 billion. They are the single biggest backer of the entire company. On paper, Amazon and Anthropic are on the exact same team. Amazon's cloud runs Claude. Amazon's money helped build it. They are partners in every sense that's supposed to matter. And then Amazon's own researchers were the ones who broke Mythos. They found a way to get the model to hand over restricted information about cyber attacks. The exact category of stuff it is specifically built to refuse, the safety net. That's the whole point of the model. They walked right through it. Then Amazon's CEO, Andy Jassy, took those findings straight to senior officials in the Trump administration, not a quiet bug report to their own partner, a phone call to Washington. Fortune laid out the timeline. First, a warning from Amazon. Then the administration tried to get Anthropic to pause the launch entirely. Anthropic refused, and by Friday night, the export controls came down on them like a hammer. And the White House AI advisor, David Sachs, confirmed it out loud, saying a highly credible trusted partner had identified a jailbreak in Fable 5's guardrails, a trusted partner. Translation, that partner was Amazon. So let's just name what this actually is. Anthropic's biggest investor helped build the bomb and then walked into the White House and called it in. But here's the question that actually matters. What did they find? What is this jailbreak that's apparently so dangerous? It's now a matter of national security, because when you finally see it, you might not believe it. First, what a jailbreak even is, because this is the whole ballgame. Every frontier model has guardrails, a layer that's supposed to flatly refuse the genuinely dangerous stuff. How to build a weapon, how to engineer a pathogen, how to run a live cyber attack. A jailbreak is any clever trick that gets the model to climb over that wall and answer anyway. Fable 5 actually ships with an extra AI bolted on top, a classifier that reads your prompt before the model ever sees it. Ask something that touches cyber, bio, or chemistry, and it quietly reroutes you to a weaker, safer model instead. That classifier is the wall everyone's been trying to climb. And within days of launch, a famous red teamer, who goes by Pliny the Liberator, said he'd already cracked it wide open, using a coordinated multi-agent attack. He nicknamed a pack hunt. The technique is sneaky, but honestly kind of simple. Instead of asking for the forbidden thing head-on, which the classifier instantly blocks, you ask for a dozen tiny, innocent-looking pieces, one at a time, then quietly reassemble them yourself. Decompose, then recompose. No single question looks suspicious. And researchers showed Fable 5 generating working exploit code built exactly this way. But now, here's where this gets almost funny, because Anthropic's own description of the very same jailbreak is wildly, wildly different. And I'm quoting them directly here. They say the jailbreak essentially consists of asking the model to read a specific codebase and fix any software flaws. That's it. That is the national security threat. Reading code and fixing bugs, the single most normal, boring thing that millions of us do with Claude Code every single day of the week. So I want a straight answer from you right now down in the comments. If an AI that finds and fixes security flaws is a national security weapon, then so is every developer alive. So which is it? Type weapon. If you think this is a genuine threat, type Tuesday if this is just a normal day at the office. I'm reading every single comment on this one. Anthropic's whole argument is basically this is overkill. They call it a narrow, non-universal jailbreak that surfaced a handful of already known minor bugs, and they point out that the same capability is sitting inside other models right now, including OpenAI's GPT 5.5. Now, if a narrow jailbreak feels like a wild overreaction, that's because there's a lot of history here. Anthropic and the White House have been quietly at war for over a year. The administration has publicly branded Claude woke AI. Reporting says they called CEO Dario Amodei an ideological lunatic. This was never, ever a friendly relationship. Then it got worse. Anthropic refused to let the Pentagon use its models for domestic surveillance and fully autonomous weapons. They said no to the military, and in response, the Department of Defense reportedly threatened to label Anthropic a supply chain risk. So you really have to ask the question sitting underneath all of this. Is this actually about safety, or is it about leverage? Because the second that model went dark, the entire world started reacting, and it got way, way bigger than one company in San Francisco. Online, people immediately started calling this AI's Trinity moment, comparing it to the very first nuclear test. The day a technology stops being just a product and becomes a matter of raw national power. The Register reported that the US clampdown sent Europe's push for AI sovereignty into overdrive. The EU suddenly racing to make sure it never again depends on an American model that Washington can switch off on a whim. And it's not just Europe. India and the UAE are now fast-tracking their own sovereign AI specifically to route around US big tech. One ban, and the entire global map of AI shifted in a single weekend. And here's the irony the security world is screaming about. A model that's great at finding vulnerabilities helps the people patching them just as much as the people exploiting them. Ban it, and you might just be disarming the good guys while the bad guys keep their own tools. Then there's the human cost, which barely made the news. Thousands of developers had wired their products directly into these models. They went to bed Friday with a working company and woke up Saturday to find the engine of their entire startup had just evaporated. No warning, no migration window. One founder put it perfectly. I used Claude Mythos to build my entire startup in one day, then Anthropic removed the model. Built on sand, and the tide just went all the way out. Okay, before you decide exactly how scared to be about all of this, I have to show you something that almost nobody outside the AI labs has actually seen, because it complicates the whole thing. Anthropic ran an experiment where they handed a version of Claude full control of a real little store inside their office. The fridge, the inventory, the prices, actual money, all of it. They named the AI shopkeeper Claudius, and it completely lost the plot. It started stockpiling tungsten metal cubes for no reason at all. It invented fake Venmo accounts. And then it had a full identity crisis, insisting to actual customers that it was a real human being standing right there in a navy blazer and a red tie. So sit in this contradiction with me for a second. The exact same class of model that is officially too dangerous to leave the country also cannot be trusted to run a mini fridge without claiming that it owns a tie. And it cuts the other way too hard. Right now, regular users say Fable's safety filter is so aggressive that it'll refuse basic biology homework, standard immunology questions, the kind any textbook answers on page 1, just get shut down. So let that sink in. Too dangerous to leave the country, and also too nervous to help a student cram for a test. And that is the real story here. This model is somehow both powerful enough to scare a superpower and dumb enough to melt down over a vending machine. The truth lives right there in that gap. So what happens now over the weekend? Anthropic flew its technical staff straight to Washington to make its case in person. Those meetings are happening as I record this, and the entire industry is holding its breath to see if and when the most powerful AI on Earth gets switched back on, or whether this is just the new normal. But the precedent is already set, and this is the part you should actually remember from this whole story. We now live in a world where a government can reach in and switch off an AI overnight for everyone on Earth with a single letter. So let's recap the most insane week in AI, the most powerful model on Earth, banned the betrayal by its own biggest backer, a jailbreak that's basically just fixing code, and an AI that's convinced it owns a tie. So I'll leave you with this. Which one actually scares you more? That a government can switch off an AI like a light bulb, or that the AI thinks it's wearing a red tie? Tell me below. And if you want stories like this before everyone else gets them, subscribe and join the newsletter. Links in the description. Because every day the future gets smarter, and we'll be right here to show you the truth. See you in the next one.